All right, let's start. Good afternoon, my good people. It's your favorite podcaster, Tommy Green, and I'm back with another episode of Convicted Conversations. Here today, I got a special, not only a special guest, but I also got a special guest host, good friend of mine and business partner, Mr. William Elmore. Welcome back to the show, my brother. He was my first interview for the show.
Interview.
Yeah, so go back and check out his interview. It's one of the dopest, as well as the first.
I'm trying to break the bank like Cat Williams.
No doubt. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So, and to introduce our special guest, a guy that I just met today, actually. That's why I got a special guest host to do this interview, because it's going to be very interesting to learn why this man is so interesting to this man, who is a very interesting person himself. So, without further ado, I'm gonna turn it over to my main man, Will, to introduce our guest.
Okay. I feel like a conduit between this energy right here. So, I'm like one of them X-Men characters. The more energy I absorb, the stronger I get.
Gotcha.
That's the Hulk, right?
That's what's up.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling like the Hulk. If I turn green, don't run. Don't run.
We won't
good.
get mad at you neither.
Yeah, we good. We good. But
Yeah.
let me tell you something about Rush. I know him, and I kind of don't know him, right?
Okay.
I was introduced to Rush through a mutual friend of mine that I did time with at Brown Creek.
Okay.
Right? So the guy, he got out, and when I met him after I got out, then Rush was there. And he told Rush how good of a dude he think I was, and he told me how good of a dude he thought Rush was.
Absolutely.
And our own little branch kind of sprouted. Because I would see Rush here and there on my own accord, doing whatever I was doing, and we always chopped it up. We always either met at the gym, or we bumped into each other in some kind of athletic energy.
Gotcha.
And Rush was heavy into boxing, man. Always talking about showing me different boxes on his phone. Pros now, retired veterans, legends,
Right.
gladiators. And he always was telling me different things and showing me pictures about his travels with boxing. And fast forward, Rush had heard about my book, or I gave it to him, or I was at the Boys and Girls Club one day. And he was coming out of Planet Fitness, which was right next door to each other. And he was like, yo, what you doing?
Exactly.
I was like, I'm getting ready to go ahead and talk to these kids. And he lit up.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, what you talk to him about? I said, life skills, about trying to stay off drugs, about staying out the way, not getting into different things that's not healthy for you, gangs and cliques and all of that. And he got excited. He always expressed an interest of getting into that.
Okay.
But again, fast forward, he was busy doing his things. You know, me and you was busy running several businesses. So we never really made time to do what we're doing right now. Then eventually I was going into a store. I won't name it because I don't endorse him. And he was in the store, relaxing. Matter of fact, he was having a conversation with somebody in there. And as soon as I see him, that energy was there. And I was telling him, man, he said some things that was so inspiring. I was saying to him that you need to get on this platform, and the same conversation that you and I was having in that establishment is the same conversation that I think people should be privy to. And it was predicated on giving back, sharing what we know, inspiring people to be their very best selves.
Wow.
And primarily with him, it was always every time I saw him, it was the youth. Then Rush got my book the day that I was coming and going into the Boys and Girls Club. I think that's when I gave you a copy of my book. Right?
Yes, it was.
And we talked about, he's like, man, I read your book. It was so inspiring, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I just want to get in the lane that you in. But oftentimes, man, when we got the immediate need to pay bills and try to get other things going, we always give that some air, but we don't nurture it.
Right.
So every time we met, we would always linger off with, I need to get in the lane that you in. So right now, today, at this time, no coincidence, he's want to talk about a lot of things that he's interested in. And I told you some of it. Athlete, Durham legend on the basketball court. He said they called him the animal.
Yes, nice little story to come with that, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, and as you can see his size, he loved to work out.
Absolutely.
And he always talking about boxing, man. You know, so those are just some of the things. A lot of things about him I really don't know.
Gotcha.
So some of this is new to me, but it's interesting because you don't have no history on him. He don't have no history on you. So I get to kind of sit back and sip my water, man, and see how
Wow, interact with it.
Yeah.
Well
cool,
put.
Cool.
Yeah.
So kick us off, Russ. Like, where you from? How'd you come about doing whatever you do now?
Well, I was born and raised here in Durham, but I frequented, my mom traveled a lot in Plainfield, New Jersey, so spent some years in New Jersey where the boxing came along. And when she decided to move back to Durham, I was kind of heartbroken because I had a trainer that had told my mother, he said, if you leave him with me a couple years, he'd be on TV making millions of dollars. He's from my tenacity, he's training. And I was always beating on the back of the door, had my eyes shut. And he was like, man, you got what it takes. So of course she couldn't do it. So I cried all the way back to Durham, and kind of resented her a little bit because she didn't let me stay. But when I look back at it, she had my best interests at heart. He could have been a pedophile or took advantage of me. But I was boxing pretty good. Came here. Edie Nick was on Austin Avenue a little bit, but it was nothing major here as far as boxing. But I just got into that, and I always loved the train coming up. And like I said, I learned about Mecca through Melvin, and he told me he was a great guy. He was disciplined, and I'm real strict on discipline and achieving whatever you want to achieve. Just to kind of start it off, you know.
Gotcha. Okay. You got anything for him?
Nah, I was just thinking about what he said about discipline, and to do something, man, you gotta have discipline. I don't care what it is, and he and I could be in the gym at the same time working out. Our words are real short because guess what? He's disciplined about his workout, and I'm not there to play no game. I'm not at the gym to socialize.
Right.
I'm going to work. So after we dap each other up, he hit the machine, I hit the machine, and sometimes I would get out the gym before him or he'd get out before me. But whenever we saw each other, it was always a natural segue into where we left off, man. It was effortless. And I was telling him about this opportunity. You could just totally be yourself, man. We're real people talking about real things, and to kind of hurdle over to the work that you and I do with Sweat, with mentoring and teaching life skills at 2 transition houses to guys transitioning obviously from prison. We it's so many things that's synonymous with what we do that he thinks about all the time. And I don't know how many people he shared those ideas with, but he always shares those ideas with me. And I'm always saying, man, you know what? I wish I'd have saw you a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago, because you would have been the ideal fit into these spaces that I end up getting in.
Gotcha.
And he always say, man, yo, will you let me know? Just let me know. I finally let him know, and you said the day, this time will work, and we right here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just to catapult on that a little bit, Mecca, I always feel like when brothers get together, there's always a competitive nature. It's natural to size each other up sometimes, but at the same time, we got to give back and be each other's brother's keeper, because we don't have that. We look at it as a weakness, but these type of conversations are actual strength. The reason I say that is, when I get in my vehicle after talking with Mecca, I'm a better guy. Because he always has a package deal. When I come, got that from him, I got that from him. So he soaked this up. He comes as a package deal.
Right.
So I gravitated to that. And I put that in my arsenal. I move on, I'm a better guy. But when you harness so much bad and negative energy, like I see a lot of gentlemen, young and old, they become honoring when they get older because they really didn't fully commit and do the things they wanted to do. So when people say words don't hurt, but they are powerful. You know, because when I was coming up, just to elaborate on that a little bit, the things that I heard and seen affected me greatly, you know, and just made me say, well, this energy I got to harness coming from a single parent home, just my mother being there, she worked so hard, and I watched her walk in the rain, and I was visualizing stuff as a young man. And I said, well, I didn't want to disappoint her, getting in the drugs, getting in the streets, but by my father not being there, getting in fights and stuff like that. But I saw older guys, I picked something from the drunk. I want to be like him, he drinking. This guy get high. I like him because he's stern when he has to be, but at the same time, he has a lesson. And then I just started building off that with my personality and started giving it back to the community in all kinds of ways I didn't realize I was doing. Wow. You know, just from the things I was hearing and people coming to me, and that let me know that was my purpose. It's always been my drive and purpose to give back. And as I gotten older, I would always train. I always gravitated to physicality. Michael Myers, even though it's evil, I couldn't stop watching it every time it came on.
Brutal.
Dun, 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 and
Yeah.
turn the doorknobs
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And it was physical.
Yeah.
And what inspired me to actually
Punch,
start,
punch.
yes sir.
Yeah.
And he did it in a way that was, hey, I'm gonna take you out.
Yeah.
And then as far as the physical fitness, I used to go to the Dorton Arena in Raleigh,
Okay.
and Jimmy Superfly Snooker,
Mhm.
just like what I got now, Samoan Fiji, 250, agility, chop you, head bush, come on the top rope. I said, good, that's what a man supposed to be like. I'm 10 years old. He body slammed, I think it was Ric Flair or Steamboat, and he kind of, it's like a gamma radiation. Bill Bixby went through me like, what in the world?
Yeah, you felt
Man, I was
that.
gone.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be right. I was thin, cookout, never had nothing. Boy, put them arms up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it lit something in me. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it stuck.
And that's what I mean
The
by
energy.
I know him and I don't know him. Like the stories he just shared, that's new information to me. But the spirit of it is not new because how I was raised growing up in my day, the older guys, man, you had to be hard as a rock or you couldn't hang out with them. You do any crying and whining about how hard they hit you or what they saw wrestling snooker too. They put you in the Cobra Clutch and the Bob Backlund and George the Animal Steel and you better take it or you ain't
Absolutely.
coming out here no more. So you had to say I'm good, your whole joint dislocated, but you say I'm good. So they instill a sense of masculinity in
Yes,
us,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
To a crazy degree. Right? And as a adult man, I learned that without balance, man, I'm so masculine where I'm top heavy. And I'm stumbling over. My masculinity is doing me a disservice. So while I was in prison,
Right.
my spirituality taught me there's a balance with masculinity. It's like water. Like Bruce Lee said, water can be soft enough to bathe a baby, but at the same time, it could create a crevice in the mountain. So without that balance, man, you could be so masculine and so hard, man, you don't know how to experience, man, affection from another dude. You don't know how to say hello. You don't know how to cry. So all them things in our hoods that we didn't learn in the street, those are things I grew into as a spiritual man when I was incarcerated.
So tell us about your incarceration history and the birth of Animal. What's the story behind
I
that?
like that. I like the way you put that. But the birth of the animal didn't come from prison. I didn't do no serious time.
Okay.
I did some 7th floor at the county jail in Durham, 6-7 times maybe, but it wasn't just overnight, maybe a week the longest.
Gotcha.
Because I was lashing out, Pop wasn't there. But my mom's brother, my uncle, he was on Cleveland, Ohio, not Cleveland, he was in Cleveland, I'm sorry, he was in Euclid. And it was a young fella, I might have been 11 or 12. He challenged me to a basketball game for his basketball, because my team would be his. This is where it started for me, really is where it started, with the basketball. So I had a burning passion in me, I didn't know what it was, couldn't explain it. I'll take you up on, let's go. So his daddy watched, his father watched the game. I wound up beating him. He cried, give him the ball, son, give him the ball. Man, that ball, I slept with that ball 8 weeks. Boy, put that ball up. I had the ball anywhere I went. Mama said, get that ball in the car. I might go shoot some. No. But this is what I'm alluding to with that. It lit a fire in me that I already had it, but the win, it just brought something else out of me that God had blessed me with that athletic ability. So when I played all the time, I got back to Durham, and it's a court called Elmira. We lived in Parkview, stayed there 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
But it was a court called Elmira Park right off Fairwood Street, so I walked to the park all day, walked through
You know the park?
right down from North
Those were
Carolina
we used to
Central.
play at.
Oh, word.
That was where the history was made. So they hadn't seen me because we came back from Jersey, back and forth, middle school. Got there, I'm out there playing, and I hear, that's him. I look, that's him. I'm throwing the hoops, get warming up. Mama, that's him.
Michael Myers. That's him.
So the word that got around from Atlanta Street, Atlanta Street guys were coming down. We had Patrick Scott, it was Donald Wright, Snooch, some guys like that, Doug and Dominic Curry, and we played ball. So he said, man, that guy, he's special. So it was an older guy named Donald Wright. I never saw his game, he was an older guy. But he used to see me and the things that I could do. I would create moves just like the blue. He started calling me Lynn Bias. And boy, to hear that he was a legend. I said, who? And I know Bias, I seen him in Maryland. Just a Sandlot Bias.
Right.
And man, the fire that it lit in me, just seeing that ball come through the hoop. And it never was about me. I was blessed and favored to have the skill to bring that enlightenment and stuff from the community. So he was like, buys, and man, it just
Every time you heard that, it motivated.
it motivated me more. And then Harold Lund, bless his soul, he passed a few years ago. His name was Tuffy. And in the mornings, you know, before you go to the court, you in the park, man, eating cereal, but it was a truck called the Animal. The Animal, nothing can stop. The Animal, and I was like, a Tonka truck. It claws, it digs. So he came one day. The Animal.
He started
and
calling.
Man,
That was it.
it was a typhoon after that, man. It stuck with me, and just having an influence on people. And I just feel like all my life, that's pretty much what it's been, man. Without me realizing it. And then there was another one. It was Chris Webber. I had number 4 Chris Webber jersey, and I got to the basket every time I scored. Weber. Right. I know everybody. Weber's coming from there. Weber. I'm in the restaurant eating. Weber. What's up, man? What's happening? So the impact that I knew I had from the cliches and everything, people gravitated to it. Right. So that was always my calling. And I was always all over the place doing other stuff, but the spirit was, I was bobbing and weaving, but then it hit me right on the button. You gotta do what you gotta do. Your purpose and your calling is people and the youth and the community. So this is what I'm looking to move forward into and catapult my spirits in that direction.
Wow.
And again, all that's new information to me, but in the spirit realm, it's not new. I got the same ether, man. When you understand your influence, it comes from being humble enough to be guided by other influential people.
Wow.
It ain't just lopsided. It's not just you come out the house and you Mr. Influential. You were humble enough to be influenced in one way or another by other people, whether it was the TV show, the car, the animal, the Hulk, Michael Myers. They influenced you.
Oh man!
Right. You see the yin and the yang of influence.
That's exactly what it is. Well put.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And I always connected with him in that way. His humility and my humility always kept us in a good space with each other, because, like he said, dudes are competitive, you know what I mean? And it becomes a pissing contest. And when that happens, most dudes be like, man, you know, I'm gonna keep my space from this dude, because he gonna bring the animal, right? And then I'm gonna turn green.
Make me look bad.
It's gonna fuck the town up. Right?
Hey, that's right, man.
Correct.
I'm glad it didn't happen like that, Nathan, but just elaborate on that just a little.
That is how it go, though, right?
A little bit, man. You hit it dead on the head, man. Oh man.
Yeah,
It'll
right.
come back to me.
So he's the moment. Whenever I see him, we end up with them kind of moments. Somebody says something, right? And it leaves us like, man, I gotta go, because I got to go process that. I gotta go toke on that. Right. And I gotta get back. I gotta come back. Like you playing a good competitive one-on-one. It's like, man, good game, boy. But I'll see you next time Sunday at the park.
That's exactly right.
Good
competitive energy.
It's not nasty. It's like you making me better.
But so again, I want to touch in one more thing on that. Having said that, I became a ball hog because the reason God would say, Rush, even though at the end of the game you never really pass it. I said, let me explain that. I didn't feel like nobody was going to go as hard as I was going to go to win. And I had to learn that there's some players out here, they got the same passion. So if I make it, I know I'm giving it. I see a guy miss it. Man, you got to make that for the win. I know I'm going for the juggler. So I knew what Mike felt when he went in there on a small scale. Nobody going there like me. So if I missed it, I could live with it. You missed it, man, I would have made that.
Right.
Not necessarily, but it's the passion I had. So I had to learn, you got to let your team get involved. And in the world, it taught me you can't do it by yourself. Right. You got to have that team. And like I was telling Mecca, you always got to converse together, get together, and make it happen.
Absolutely.
And that's a grown man lesson, because when you're highly competitive and you highly skilled and you want to believe that your effort is always going to trump everybody else's effort.
Absolutely.
You can live with it if you miss, because you feel like you gave 1,000% to make it.
Absolutely.
But when the next man miss, I'm questioning how bad
did you really want it,
man?
That's it, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that, man, because you would have made it, man.
I had to balance that out. I had to learn to balance that.
And that's not fair, man.
I put it all on my shoulders.
Life lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to put it all on my shoulders, carry it all on my shoulders, man.
Yeah. So that's the gift and the curse of having that fire in you, right? Because it can consume everything around it. to where you the animal on the island by your damn self.
And
Right?
I've been there too.
Or you could be
I've
me
been there.
too. Or you could
I've been
be
there.
balanced where you the animal and everybody wants to be a part of your kill. Because animals hunt and they kill, and they want to break bread with people to share their meal. Because
Right.
after a while,
Right.
the meals get lonely after a while, man. And you want to share. When you mature, you want to be part of the community, and that's what we're talking about, giving
Absolutely.
back some of that
Absolutely.
energy and inspiring other youths.
Yeah.
Because there's other animals out there. It's
Some
other
juniors
hoes
out there. Some
Yeah.
juniors.
It's some juniors
Some
out
upcoming.
there, man.
Yeah, man.
And,
I
and
believe
if
that.
you don't
I
know how to
believe that.
tame that gift, it becomes more your
Right.
curse than it's going to be a gift.
Absolutely, man.
So in our introductions and talking, before camera, whatever, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, and it's one of my passions too, boxing. So my question.
Oh man, I could get out the room now.
Yeah.
We talk about boxing, bro.
Right,
That's-
right, yeah. So where did you get your passion for boxing from, and what's your experience, or what are you doing?
Well, I had a couple of fights at Plainfield. I'm gonna tell you where it came from. Where I kind of stepped into the play. I wound up taking a shot. It's probably the only shot that I took and absorbed, and I was in the wrong. It was a guy at Plainfield High School in my art class. He was doing some artwork, and I wanted to go home and show my mom, this is my work. So I would get the portrait that was missing, and being mischievous and take it home, because I could draw, but I couldn't do it like he could do it. And one day I was on the step, he called me. He said, Donald Russ. I looked at him, and he cold caught me. He finally caught up to me, and the animal came out. But I didn't let him go because I still knew I was wrong. Could have whooped him. I took it. Told mom I had a little knock. What happened? Little baseball on the ball, the ball hit in the corner. I manned up and took that because I was in the wrong.
Yeah.
And then I just knew I could take a shot. Didn't do nothing, budge me or nothing. Well, I kid you in here, but I did. You hit me, but who am I? I stole from you. I only did the same thing, so I learned a lesson from that on my own.
Wow.
And I went to Wanchong Avenue. We lived on 325 East 5th Street. Little gym that was there. So I was going, walking by, looking in there, came in, got the gloves, sparring a little bit, talked to a guy that I knew from school. He went to Maxon Middle School and got into it from there. Once I realized I could take a shot,
Right.
I knew the fireman could get me because I was ready to take him out.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So I was home enough to know to take my L's because I was in the wrong.
Wow.
And I got into it after that. Love the sound of the bang.
Yeah, I love it too,
Me too.
man.
Me too.
And,
like
just the
music.
power shot is like music.
It's like music.
And it was healing for me, Pop
Yeah.
not being there. So, I
Yeah.
just, and like again, I love physical.
Yeah.
Masculine energy, physical,
Right.
and
Right.
building.
Right.
And the
Wow.
more I think about that, me growing up without my dad in my household, I always sought out masculine energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
for
did.
sure.
So I found it from a mixture of dudes in the street that was into everything. I kind of built off. I got this from most great athletes, take Jordan and Iverson. They took pieces of their game from other players that they was inspired by. I got my masculine energy from a variety of guys growing up in my hood, right? And it wasn't always good, but when I got back home, man, I'm thinking about when you said your mother wouldn't allow you to box, man. I remember I was a crazy Bruce Lee fan, right? How people go crazy about Jordan. I had this thing with Bruce, right? And I told my mother I wanted to take karate. And at the time, my household was full of turmoil. Dad was an alcoholic. He was very abusive to my mother. So I assumed that my mother shot me a curve. She called the karate school. She let me pick one out, not far from my house. I went there and talked to the dude. He kept signing me up. I was so young, he had to talk to my mother. Came home with paperwork, phone number. My mother said, yeah, I'm going to call him. And she kept stalling. She never did. And that feeling you described, like, why are you denying me what I'm drawn to?
Right.
I don't understand it. As an adult, I learned that my mother was, in her mind, she was keeping me from learning a deadly skill that I might have took out on somebody else. I guess she saw that fire in me, like, nah, that's not going to be good for you. It's like giving me a loaded weapon. And I always been kind of humble, but at the same time, because of the lack of my father in the house, a woman could get away with way more stuff towards me than a male could. Because I'm hurting because my dad ain't there.
Right.
So if you owe me $2, man, the pain I have for him not being there, I would take it out on you. So don't let me get halfway good as Bruce Lee. I'm gonna karate kick your ass all up and down the street, man, in front of everybody.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
That's how you
So
call
I think she saved me from hurting myself or hurting somebody else in ways I didn't understand. But I resonated with that, man, because at the time in my immaturity, I didn't understand why you don't want to let me be great.
Absolutely.
That's something I'm drawn
something
to.
I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to do, man. So I
Wow.
practice in my house on my own
Absolutely.
about a lot of things. Practice
Yeah,
on a
man.
couple of people in school, and then I wanted a formal training. So I did get attracted to boxing as well because Bruce Lee boxed. He ain't just kick; he also boxed. So I had an affinity to masculine energy and athleticism and contact. Man, we grew up playing full contact football on concrete. And again, if you can handle what them old guys brought to you, you couldn't come back out there. So contact, taking a punch, pain, that was just everyday things to me growing up. So I understand that you could resonate with that masculine energy.
Yeah.
But again, without balance, man, it sends you so far down that lane, man. You don't have the tenderness, man, to take care of a child if you have
Oh man, I'm glad you said that, man, because I don't believe in raising a child. I believe in cultivating a child. Or a person, you can cultivate them. Anybody can raise them, but cultivating them. And I feel like even with a mother allowing a father figure, if he's dating or seeing a young lady, you got to let the child or the man in the house give masculine love. Because if you don't, he'll get in a relationship, and anytime he's something said to him from the female, he get into a feminine side, a girly side of it. It's not all video games and peachy. You're going to bite a couple of rotten apples in life. You're going to sink your teeth down on some rotten apples.
Absolutely.
So the masculine love, as long as you know you're not trying to kill the young man, he's got to know that ain't gonna cut it. You got to have bigger standards than this. And that goes to cultivating the young men in society. I think a lot of them are missing that.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking about a book I read when I was in prison called No Disrespect by Sister Soldier. She said her dad, he was a military guy. He was gone all the time, but when he came home on breaks, she was the happiest person in the world. Like her dad was her God in her life. And she said one day her dad was a little shell shocked. She said, but she didn't care. That was her dad. She said one day that her dad was pushing her on the swing. He was home out of the military and he was pushing her. She was saying, "Higher, daddy," and she felt his strength on the swing. Every time she came back to him and he pushed her off, she was going higher. And she said, as afraid as she got when she reached the apex of the height, when she came back, she got more and more confident because she said, my dad is behind me. I can't get hurt. And one time he stepped out the way intentionally and she fell out the swing and hit the ground real hard. She said she had never been more confused in her life about that. She cried and cried and her dad just stood there. Then she got angry. She stopped crying and got angry and said, "Dad, what happened? Why did you allow me to fall off this swing? You was just behind me." She said her dad told her, like you said about biting down on rotten apples, he told her life ain't always safe and comfortable.
Yes.
You need to learn that sometimes ain't nobody gonna be behind you. You need to learn that. And she said at that age, she still didn't understand that lesson until she went to college. When she went to college and she started dealing with relationships, friendships, people letting her down, people disappointing her, that lesson came back to her about life. People not always going to be there to catch you when you fall. So you got to learn to absorb that hit, like you talked about. You got to know you can take a hit, man.
Absolutely, man.
Because life is going to shoot some blows your way, man. And you ain't always going to have your guard up.
No, you won't, man. You won't. That's amazing. That's well put.
Absolutely. So look, Mr. Rush, I see the card called Mr. Rush. Tell us about that.
Man.
And how people can get up with you and what you into nowadays.
Well, I'm a university certified HVAC technician, so if you need an install or you think a company may be overcharging you, you can call me at 919-616-3924. It's called Mr. Rush. Get the best for less. It's quality and affordable service from your neighbor. I'm just like you. Get the best for less before you call the Yellow Pages. So I'll come out and give you the estimate, and I'm servicing the Greater Triangle. I do some Sharon homes out on Middle Springs, and I'm on the Nextdoor app as well as far as my services and how much I save people, and give them an honest evaluation on their HVAC systems Here's one here for you as well.
Okay,
Mr.
brother,
Tom,
I appreciate
Mecca
that.
don't always give, but I got one for you.
Yeah.
So it's just about taking care of the elderly. I have a young lady, about 6 of them. They call me, Mr. Rush, are you a vet? Yes, ma'am. My water heater's leaking. I gotta be of service. I gotta take care of them.
That's
You know,
what's
we
up.
gotta be our brother's keeper and to keep grandmas and queens together. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool business. Good deal. What you got something else for me?
I was thinking, man, we sitting among all us entrepreneurs, man, sitting here talking about things that we do, talking about things that we believe in. And man, I can't tell you how overwhelming it is to be sitting in the energy of guys that's progressive, guys that don't mind giving, guys that don't mind being vulnerable, don't mind being honest, and don't really care how nobody receives that, man. We just us, man, you know,
Absolutely.
and that's, we gonna keep trying to challenge. My motto is I'm not sitting around or between nobody that's not challenging me to
Wow.
be the best I can be,
Boy, you
man.
said something.
Because I'm good by myself. That's another thing that
Challenging.
connected with. I always see
Wow.
him dolo, and he always see me dolo. You know what I mean? It's like two lines, man, and we got to share this space, man. Ain't but so many deers out here, right? But one thing
Right.
about the nature and the kingdom of nature, everything respects space. It's about
Yeah,
spacing,
it
man.
is. It is.
Honestly, man, and when you understand that, man, you don't really have no problems, man. But when we don't know how to space out, we always have problems. And as black males, we don't understand spacing, man, because there's so many things that we've been misled about,
Yeah.
including our own masculinity. What it is? What is it?
That's right.
We don't know what that is, man.
I think it's, man, I always felt like it's the things that a man knows about himself that cause him to fear. Things in life, other people, when you look in the mirror, what you might be involved in or doing. And I can sometimes sense it that my aura has, I've been enlightened, man, and I've been kind of been led by the flesh and some opportunities that I could have taken advantage of. I didn't. I think a lot of guys, you know, out here with the lustfulness and the energy coming in, but now I'm kind of cultivating it in a different direction now because the spirit has been on me since I was young, and I couldn't understand why I was changing, some desires was leaving my soul. And just to go back to that, Mecca, it's been a covenant over my life, and I said, man, what keeps me wanting to stay in shape? To give back. I could have either said like most people, give it up, gain, lose, but it's a higher purpose, and you know, the time is now. But he protected me in some situations that I didn't know, as if he was sitting on my shoulder. God, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to receive it. Man, you could have got 20 years for that. Oh man, so I'm in my car like, wow, you got my undivided attention. I pulled off apart, I'm gonna tell you again something happened. And I thought my brother was in an altercation at a fight. So I pulled my car over, guys over there huddled up. I jump out, it wasn't him. A Kimball's truck pulled in, they was doing it all the time, it's a raid. So I figure, oh, let me ease back to the car with the door open. You too, get around. God, I got a gram of cocaine in my pocket.
Wow.
I'll never forget this. This was a turning point for me. It was an EPMD case, cassette tape, EPMD. The gram of cocaine. I just went up to Ferry Street projects and cop. When I had a hard hat on, I was pretty much the only one working. Boots and a hard hat. God told me, said, Rush, you don't want to get some of this easy money. No, man, I got to work. Then I said, man, let me see if I can make a flip something around here.
Right.
And the time I go to the hood 2-3 times, you come back down. The man say, you two get on the ground, I gotta grab a coat. Brother wasn't fighting. So here's what happened. Police lay me down, I'm flat. Got me. Go in my pocket. He got the case. I'm laying, got them finna go to jail. Don't look in it. Put it down. Oh, wow. So I go to talking. Man, look, search everything. I stay here all night. Search it all. You sure you ain't doing it? This all you have, right? Man, I'm willing to stay all night. Let me open the trunk for your doors. Talk to somebody talking. He left. I took the package, the cocaine, went to the store, and gave it to one of my customers. He said, Rush, I can't buy this. You ain't got to. It's yours. It's over.
Wow.
Cold turkey.
Right
Wow.
there.
I listened to the spirit. That was number one. Number one, I was disappointed my mom. But I never wanted to do that because she worked hard to keep me grounded. But sometimes I think mothers can overcompensate love for father not being there. So I had some tendencies that I had to reshape and get in line. Come on, mom. Rubbing you, parting your hair with grease and putting it in your eye. Come on, mom. You know what I mean? But the masculine side was always there.
Right.
And I had to break loose, and I got to go out here and learn some stuff. so I can make her proud, and that's what I did, you know. And
Wow.
man, just that was one. And there was one more thing. I was involved with something. Could have got 20 years first time just being mistreated. They go around and get them. We switched over. Oh boy, thought they had me. Go around. It's all over.
Wow.
Went to hook my
Yeah.
friend on Duke Villa. She said, "What's wrong with you?" Come here. Hell, held her. I never told her. And I just kind of flew straight, just right here dibbing and dabbing, trying to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, that was God. You got to listen to him. Because I've been bobbing and weaving, think I had it, but it was always there, but I couldn't explain it. It was the energy from the life force. And
EPMD, man. You hear that every
Strictly
Sunday?
business.
He kept the man out of the
Yeah,
drink, man.
he did. I give you a
Yeah,
shout.
man.
You
Word
strictly
up.
business.
Yeah, man.
Shout out EPMD.
EPMD, man.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So what you saying?
Right.
That's right.
You know me.
Yo.
So I'm not going God to what you saying.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, man. So
Wow.
and I never forget those two or three instances that kind of set me down the straight and narrow. But I had to keep that divineness and that structure because a lot of guys would see me hanging out of penitentiary. I said, run with it. They see me, the BP, when they get out. Rush, let me get your number. I said, we ain't got anything in common, man. Take care of yourself.
Keep it moving.
I got in my Z, I kept running because I know I ain't going there. He just showed me the light. The light is on me now.
Right.
They understood, respectfully. But I gravitated to the strength they had, but then I was wise enough not to have to spend 9, 10 years to feel like I had to learn. I'm grateful and humble, like you say, my humility taught me that. He said, guys behind the wall would mention it. Man, how you keep yourself without being here? It was always in me.
Always in. I like that.
Right.
So looking forward to working with you in the near future. You know, it sounds like he wants to get into our lane, do a little bit of what we doing.
I think Russ should get his peer support
Mm.
certification. I think I kind of
Absolutely.
talked with him
You
about
did.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, he should get his peer support certification, and I think he should sometimes sit in on some of the work that we do,
We love
man, so he could
Absolutely.
get a real sense
Mhm.
of it, man. It's doing this same thing, man, in a structured curriculum type way,
Right.
and getting paid for it, no
Right.
doubt. And we
Right.
got bills, and
Right.
there's a budget. There's a budget for what we do,
Mhm.
and getting paid for it. However, credential-wise, to
Mhm.
get your peer support certification
Right.
is an investment in you. It backs up all your words, right, and gets you in doors that just without it you
Mm.
probably couldn't get into. And with your influence and your energy, man, especially with the youth, man, and tell them about your boxing thing, Tom.
Yeah, I was just about to get into that too, and we would love to have you as a part of it.
Man, absolutely.
So you know, me and Will's business, Successful in Transition. Plug to the business, successfulintransition.org.
That's right.
Visit us, check us out. But you know, we're a for-profit business. We do a lot of business with nonprofits.
Right.
But when we started our business to have, you know, total creative control over the curriculum that we created,
Love it.
we started an LLC, right?
Right.
But we still believe so much in giving back. We have a volunteer program that's an offset of our business, which is young athletes. And what we do with young athletes is we do mentoring through athletic training and sports training, right? And so, you know, we've been kind of playing with this, we've been kind of up and down, getting it off the ground. More support, more help would definitely, you know, make it a lot easier. But we have a boxing portion of that, you know, because again, we do mentoring through athletic training, and you know, neither one of us are like we're novice at it, but we're big fans of it, you know. I actually, funny story real quick, I actually found my passion and love for boxing inside. So, you know, we all grew up under kind of like the Mike Tyson era, right? So everybody was a fan of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson kind of turned everybody on to boxing, you know. And so when I was in the streets, I wasn't much of a scrapper, you know what I mean? I was a shooter. I mean, not necessarily like,
Right,
you know,
understand.
putting it on nobody,
Right,
but
right.
I would put it on somebody, you know, I was known to keep going.
You just want to do it to them.
Right. So I never really scrapped too much or whatever.
Right.
And so, not that I was no soft dude or nothing like that, but just wasn't really much of a scrapper. And so, in jail, you know, when I was facing all the time that I was facing, I actually did almost 12 years inside. But I was looking at, you know, anywhere from 25 to 75, you know, depending on how I would win or whatever. So in jail, I was already kind of young, you know, just 22 years old. And so I knew I was going to do some time, right? And I knew I'm going to here. I ain't got no gun in here now, you know. So I wanted to kind of be prepared. So funny, right? I got my mom. She was already sending me all types of books, but I got her to send me a book on martial arts and a book on boxing, and I had it in my head that I was gonna teach myself both of these things, you know, and teaching yourself karate is not easy, you know. I couldn't grasp it, you know.
Right.
I read it, you know. I learned. I think I learned some moves. I don't know. Never got into it. But with the boxing, I think I'm a natural boxer because everything just made sense.
Right.
I'll be in my role shadow boxing, whatever. So I really started developing a love and a passion for it because boxing is a science. You know, it's more than a sport.
Right.
You know, and once you actually know what you're doing, like shadow boxing, hitting the bag, and then I got lucky. I got to a camp that had bag. You know, so again, taught myself boxing in there. Really found a passion and love for it. Kind of continued it. And like you said, I tried it out a few times. Had to in prison. You know, you're gonna bump heads, and was not being funny. But I whooped a few niggas in prison. You know what I mean? You know what I was learning was working, and that makes you feel better. Actually, when you learn something, you know that you're doing it and it's working. And this is something that kind of saved my life. You know, for lack of a better way of saying that. So anyway, long story short, that's where my skill level is at. You know a little bit. I know the fundamentals. I know enough to, teach kids how to defend themselves, throw good punches, whatever. But what I'm getting at is, again, would love to have you as a part of that because you sound like you got way more skills than we do. So
Well, it's
you
been a
can
little
train
while
us,
for
bring
me.
us
It's
up
been
to speed,
Yeah.
help with the youth, so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
I love to help with the youth, but the boxing kind of out of my soul. I just, been so many years. But what I am doing, shout out to Dewan Owens. He's another influential brother in the community. He goes out to Africa, and I'm getting ready to start back with doing my MMA training as of next week. Shout out to Elevate MMA Academy out on Miami Boulevard. Dewan Owens, a great brother, and he and I,
Boy, he got his own gym?
Yeah, him and the guy, Cody, I believe it is. They run a great facility.
Okay.
But I'm getting ready to get
I think
back,
I've
starting
heard
next
of
week.
that.
You may have heard of it,
Yeah,
but
I've
I'm getting
heard
ready to
of
get back tuned in with my MMA.
Okay.
So
cool,
I would like
cool.
to be able to teach some tactics.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
it may just be,
Absolutely.
defense to grappling or what have you.
Absolutely.
What have you on that. Because boxing kind of got out of my soul, but I do have connections in the field.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
So
right.
even if we can get some guys, a couple of Poison Junior Jones or Mike Spinks might even come out, sign autographs, maybe talk, to some of the youth, and then
Yeah,
as
that would be
well,
dope.
maybe train some MMA, get them some self-defense and some attack
that would be
to
great.
defend themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to do that. I'll be starting back at that next week.
Oh, that sounds
Next
good.
Saturday, so
That
I
sounds
really
good.
contribute my services there too as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds
Physical
great.
fitness,
man.
health and fitness guru. That's
Absolutely.
kind of what I am as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have almost like an anti-bullying campaign
Love it.
going on too with
Love
our
it.
young athletics training. I mean, I'm very open about it too. I was a victim of bullying when I was little. That's another reason I grew up wanting to really learn how to defend myself. So with that being said, I also feel like teaching a youth or teaching a child how to be able to at least defend themselves. You do a number of things where. We live in a world where kids are getting nabbed up. So you want your child to be able to defend themselves if they get in a situation like that. But also in bullying situations, you got kids out here, man, taking their lives and everything. And if you have a kid that can defend themselves, they're more likely to fight back than to be depressed, suicidal, so on and so forth. So we really believe in, saving the youth in that regard too. So MMA, boxing, whatever you can bring to the table, we would love to entertain a partnership.
Just to touch in on that briefly, Tommy, even with what I do in life, the opportunity I was granted 20 years ago, I'd like to offer that to the up and coming youth too, so they can become kings in the household, change step for step, how to change the breaker, how to check the refrigerator, how to change the garbage disposal, where they might want to go get a trade with it. So that's another foundation I would love to do, pull your pants up and respect your women and get some gifts.
Some values,
some
man.
values.
Yeah.
I'd like to offer that as well.
And I think your self-esteem is based on not only just your values, but when you get good at something, basketball, boxing, good at plumbing. Anytime you attain a skill, you start to feel good about yourself.
Absolutely.
And when you develop a rapport with somebody you trust that's better at something than you, and they honestly can tell you get good at something, you sit up, you like, oh word, I'm getting better, and you kind of go at it harder and harder.
Absolutely.
So through all these mediums, man, I think that we can teach people, young and old, adults and everything, and teenagers, how to feel good about who they are, man. Because if you don't feel good about yourself, man, anything you do is going to be destructive.
Yeah.
It
You,
is.
whether you can fight, you're gonna think of ways to just bully people or beat people up just because you don't feel good about you. But when you do feel good about you, man, your confidence comes from knowing, you know what, I could take that punch, but I was wrong. Like the story you told me, you said you stole from the dude,
Absolutely.
and you probably could have crushed the dude, right?
Yeah,
But you,
yeah.
your values. Your
My values,
values,
I like
as
it.
a
That's
man said,
exactly
Dad,
right.
I got to eat that because I
Gotta
was
eat that.
wrong.
Gotta eat
This
that.
generation can be wrong and come back and try to kill you
Well put.
because you called them on it. They ain't like how that felt.
Mm-mm.
And that's what that's what we pushing back against, man.
Absolutely.
You gotta know how to navigate. It's not a tough man. It's the things you don't do to make you special.
Things you
It's
don't
the roads
do,
you
man.
take that was less traveled by has made all the difference in my life.
Man, amen to that.
Yeah, definitely. So look, one more time before we close out, call Mr. Rush, 919-616-3924. All your HVAC and home improvement needs.
Absolutely.
Hit my man up. Next in line, Prison from the Inside Out. The award-winning author, catch his book on Amazon.
Now catch my book right out the trunk of my car like Master P. You can call me at 919-564-8424. I will deliver, man.
God,
Books are
rap
$25 a copy, and I love to personally hand you a book while I personally receive the cash. Ain't no shame in my game. Yo, but believe me, the jewels in my book are priceless. If you enjoy any
Absolutely.
aspect of this conversation, you'll get a bunch full in my book. Paige Turner.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely. Also, don't forget to plug CBL, Community-Based Landscaping. This is one of the founding fathers and owners of that. Very good organization, second chance employer. They hire formerly incarcerated people.
And let me interject, Tommy. We consider ourselves, myself and Edward Scott, we consider ourselves therapeutic employers.
Mm.
Meaning, when you get employed by community-based landscapers, not only do we hold you to a high standard of the quality of the work, you also get peer support, you get mentorship, and you get to sit yourself in between two guys, two owners, myself and Edward Scott, that won't allow you to get away with making excuses. That's
like
just
that.
not gonna happen.
I
man.
like that.
Mm,
Yeah,
me too.
I like
Me
that.
too. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Also, our business Success While in Transition. We got an upcoming class, June 4th. Actually, you should come out.
I will.
Tuesdays
will.
in United Church,
Oh, yeah.
Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
Starting this Tuesday,
Is it?
6:30.
This Tuesday.
Yep.
Again?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We back, baby.
We back, baby.
Man.
Dinner will be served as well too.
Oh man.
You can sign up on our website, successwhileinTransition.com. I'm sorry, .org. I always forget that. And last but not least, Convicted Conversations, baby. You see how we do it?
Mm.
You can find the show on YouTube, on my channel, the Motivational Motor Blogger. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Matter of fact, you better like, share, and subscribe. And thank y'all for tuning in. As always, you know the motto, as long as you're breathing, you got another chance to make it right. Take advantage. Y'all have a good one.
And also, before we close, I think I'm inspired to say this. Anybody that's interested in any kind of interviews, I want to speak also for Rush. I know for myself and for Tommy, just give us a call, an email, or a text message, or reach out however you can, because we'll come wherever to sit down and we can chop it up with people who might want to know more in depth about who we are and what we do, because we all about service in one way or another.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, my good people. Y'all have a good one.
Rush, man, I'm
Hey,
glad about it,
man.
man. This therapeutic for me.
For me
Yeah,
too,
I
man.
think
I
that
enjoyed
went
it, man.
great,
I'm
man.
telling you,
Therapeutic
man.
for me, man.